Robert Sesson and Bryan College Station Eagle. Tricia, after the Oklahoma, you lose the 2 games, you said that, good now instead of 2 weeks from now. Then you go to Auburn, your pitching suffers a little bit.
Yep.
It was the hitting. My point being, when you look back, does your team need a reset? Do you need a reset? What about that situation?
Yeah, I think going back to the OU series, we played some good ball. I think it was just a hard-fought series. I think, we all will say up here that we could have executed in a couple of different areas, and I think that game, switches. But the Auburn game at the SEC conference room was definitely a punch in the face. And so, and that's kind of how the season goes. I do we've been punched before, and we've been punched, obviously earlier in the year, and we respond well. And so I think it was just a good gut check. We didn't love it. So I don't know, it's like good in a demented way, I guess, but of just, how short this season really can be if we don't come out and play our game. So it was nice for them to get a couple days of rest. They hadn't had any rest. And then obviously we practiced a bunch, and we were kind of joking. We haven't practiced like this since January. So, it's just good to kind of tune up some things. And, from here on out, and they know this, that, if we don't play well, we're going to be at home, and we don't want to do that. This group really enjoys being around each other, and they want to continue to play. Yeah.
We'll go back on the left side.
Kay Nagley, Texags. For Maya, just how much pride do you take in being so consistent? You were the only D1 player to reach base in every game this season. Just how much pride do you take in that?
That's always my goal, is to be consistent. It's never really to hit home runs and all that. People think I'm a home run hitter, but I don't really consider myself that. I'm more of just a consistent hitter that just does my job in any way I can, whether that's a walk or getting hit with a pitch or something.
We'll stay on that back row and then go over to Rob.
Kayla with Texags. Coach, you've been transparent about last year.
Yep.
How much has it motivated you guys for this upcoming regional? And what has been your message to the team this week with the regional coming up?
Yeah, it's definitely the elephant in the room. We've talked about it. KP and Maya were both here last year, and they know what that felt like. I think we still can feel it, to be honest with you. I don't think we'll ever forget that feeling. So, but at the same time, we also know that we're in control, and that's what's very freeing to me. And you learn from that. And some of your hardest lessons that you learn are the hard ones, right? They're the losses, and that's what drives you to, hopefully win and succeed. And so, I think that we've absolutely learned from it. I think you've seen it this year. I think you've seen them, we've had some bumps and then they fight back. And, so I feel very confident, especially with these two next to me leading us. They have been the faces of our program this whole entire year and have just been very steady. I talk a lot about KP and just, I feel like the role that she's had this year, she's really stepped up. And I've been really proud of Maya, because Maya, I would say, has been pretty quiet. I think that's just her by nature. She's a kind of a quiet, she's like, oh, Coach Ford. And so, but she's stepped up, she's helped support KP, and I think that's huge. I think when you have two of your best players really leading the charge, and it's not something that I have to do, I go to them a lot. KP gets an earful from me, Maya gets an earful from me, and they can wear it. And I think that's really it's been huge, I think, from my standpoint, selfishly, because when it's led by them and not me always getting on them, I think it's a very different standard that they've upheld.
We'll go front row on the right side.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
When you look at last year's regional,
Yep.
what are some things that you obviously you probably made some changes in developing more pitchers
Yep.
to have more bullets in your gun,
Arsenal.
I guess.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what are some things that you can look at from last year's regional that maybe you can tweak or whatever for this year's?
Yeah, I think for me, it really, we did some things that they know different in the bullpen this year. I think we trained them differently, we prepared them differently, and I think, them also being here and going through it. So Peters didn't really get to throw. She did, but it was a couple innings. Lessenting got put in a really tough situation, and so being able to go through it, I think, really changes your perspective on things. And so, Taylor Pennell is a senior, has gone through it, is probably one of the mentally toughest kids. Like, she's focused, ready to go. Kate Munnerlin was also big for us last year in the postseason. So I think for me, it's just been what we did really in the fall and January of addressing what I felt our weakness was when it came to in the circle that, you're hoping that doesn't pop up, ever again. So I think our pitchers are ready for what they're about to face. Yeah. As much as they can be. You go through this conference play too. I mean, if you're not ready, we'll get through it.
We'll stay on this front row to Travis, and then we'll go back to Ken.
Hi, Travis Brown, KBTX. For both players, a year after last year, what's still kind of the feelings that sit with you from the loss last year, and what do you feel like are things that you've changed in approaching this regional?
I just think we've kind of talked about from now on, it's balls to the wall. That's kind of been our saying these past 2 weeks. I think it lingers on us that we went home in regionals. We don't want to do that. So just kind of making sure, like Coach Ford just said, we're leaving everything on the field each and every game. And we believe if we do that, we're going to be at the World Series this postseason.
We'll go back row on the left.
KP, you as a leadoff hitter, how important do you think striking first is for this team? I know y'all are 28-6 on the season when doing so, but just being in that leadoff role, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think it's really important for our defense and for our pitchers. I think it puts them in a better position. And, it just gives us confidence as the game goes on. That's our goal. We want to score every inning, and it's really important for us to strike first. And just for the confidence level of it and just for the flow of the game. I think that's important, and keeping the momentum on our side. That's one of the most important things for us.
We'll stay on the back row and then go to Cease.
For both KP and Maya, you guys have been here for 3 years now. How are you guys feeling mentally coming into this regional? KP, especially being a senior, your last year here.
I feel probably the strongest mentally right now. Honestly, just having that hurt the past 2 years, honestly, even my freshman year, her sophomore year, just knowing that we can go out there and just be big and just don't let the moment, though, be too big for us. Just go out there and just play our game that we've been playing since forever.
Yeah, I agree with Maya. Just going out there and playing our game and just doing whatever we can for us to get wins. That's the goal, and just making sure we're executing. I think that's the main thing.
We'll go to Cease on the left side and stay on that row to Scott after.
Before I ask you a question, if I could expound on her question, since it is your last year, your last home, seemingly you gave every ounce for Oklahoma series to me. But so what does it mean to you getting another time at home?
Yeah, it's great. I love playing in front of the 12th man. And it's great to be at home, get to sleep in your own bed. That's one of the main things with recovery after each game. So, but I'm just happy to be here. I'm glad I get to play in front of the 12th man for the last time. And my goal is to just get wins and keep moving on through postseason.
And Tricia, what are you expecting from Connecticut tomorrow?
Yeah, they swing it. I think, they have some good-sized kids that swing hard, and so they played Arkansas, Florida State earlier in the year, and we're scrappy. So I think the target is on us for this first game, and so we have to understand that, and just at the end of the day, we just have to go out and execute our game. And so they're going to punch, but we can sustain punches, and I know that we can sustain punches. I think they have 3 arms that predominantly throw for them. I think that if we go out and execute our game plan, we'll be okay. But I think overall, they're just going to be scrappy. They're going to, they're playing with house money, and so with that means that we have to come out and be focused. And that's a great opportunity for us to come out and play the game and control the game the way we want to control it instead of letting somebody else.
We'll stay on that left side.
Coach, along those lines, how is scouting and preparation changed since you got into this? It seemed now that everything is video and everything, even to specific at bats against pitches, how has that changed? Has it made it easier or harder to prepare, knowing that your opponent has seen pretty much everything your pitching staff and your hitters can do?
Yeah, it's funny. I think your swings are your swings, and you have to be able to execute it. So, I think you have to understand swing paths, and you have to understand what that situation calls for. And so I don't think that part of the game has changed. I think your ability to execute at a high level is really the big difference. And so, when I started off at Fresno State as a head coach, we could get away with things that you can't get away with now. And so the strike zone was drastically different than it is now. And so you have to be able to kind of transition to today's game. And so, I think my prep doesn't really change. I'm pretty psychotic about it. So I could tell you every swing that they've probably, I watch probably about 100 swings of each batter that we're going to face against. So by, first at bat, second at bat, third at bat, because I want to, just like they're prepared, I want to feel prepared and understand like what they do in certain situations. And, this is maybe a typical bunt situation. Do they bunt? Do they move runners? What about if this kid's on the base? So I think that is good to know from my perspective, because I think I have better information, and with better information, I can make hopefully better decisions.
We'll go to Rob on the right side.
This is for everyone. The SEC is such a grind. Is it fun to play someone that's not wearing an SEC jersey? I obviously you're facing the best, in the tournament, but is it nice to just turn the page and kind of have a new season where it's not facing an SEC opponent every game?
Yeah, I think for us, we just try not to play the name game. We want to go out and beat everybody that is in the other dugout. So I think for us, it doesn't really matter. Our goal is to play our game and to execute and to get wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is such an opportunity that you can't take for granted, to be able to host at your own, field in front of the 12th man. I hope there's bubbles galore this weekend. And so we just never take that for granted. And so especially KP, like her and I have had some discussions of just like when the lights go on, like KP shines. And so I'm excited to see what that looks like this weekend. It's another opportunity. They know that it's like a new season, and basically it's a double elimination tournament from, each weekend. And, the SEC, though, I think we enjoy it because it prepares you. There's not an arm in the country that these ladies haven't seen. And that's something that we've talked about probably in nausea. That's why KP is giving you that lick. Of just like, there's nothing that they haven't seen. Like, they are prepared, and they know in most of those games, we shot ourselves in the foot. It wasn't like we felt outmatched. And so when you go into postseason feeling like we can do this, I think that's my job as a coach, right, is to make sure that they understand how good they really are. I mean, KP said it after the OU series. We had a little team meeting, and she's like, we can hang. You know what this series taught us? We hang with anybody, anytime, any place. And that's huge, especially for the team to hear that from KP. Yeah.
We'll stay on the right side to Travis.
Yeah, Coach, what's your favorite part about this time of the year? I know regional play is kind of so different than a lot of stuff. What as you as a coach, makes this time of year so special?
It's the best part. It's what you work so hard the whole entire year for. I mean, this is where your superstars rise to that occasion. You find out who's going to be that person that's going to put the team on their shoulder and go. I feel like I should have grown out of my stupid competitiveness, and I haven't. And so I feel like this is what I get to see them get after it at a high level, and that's why I coach, to see women chase things and chase their dreams. Like, that's what I want. Like, I want them to understand what they're capable of, and this is a life skill, right? Like, we talk about it a lot, like, go get it, go after it, go take whatever you want to take. Like, nothing is given to you, so you go out there and whatever it takes, you go get it. And so I love to see them chasing their dreams, and that's really, like, this is what we do all year long, is to be in this situation.
We'll go back to seats on the left side.
Yeah, Matt mentioned you might have ties to one of the assistants. Could you elaborate about that? And does anybody else have any UConn connections?
Oh, Giselle, yes, she started with us at ASU and then transferred out. Yeah, she was a pitcher. Yeah,
What's her name?
Giselle. Yeah, yeah, Juarez. Yeah, yeah.
Anything else for these three? All right, thank you.
Thank you.